Hello and welcome back. On this trip we're now in Canberra and at the Australian National Botanic Gardens. As I said, it's in Canberra, so this is the third one that I've visited so far. Managing to get kind of an hour or so here and there around work to be able to come out and about and explore some of these different places, which is really cool. I mean, first and foremost, when you come into the car park, I need to get my bearings, but look at the grove of tree ferns. Amassing either side of this bridge. Some of them down there, there's a little stream running through, look like they must be 12, 13 foot. So we're about to walk through the Rainforest section, which I think they've got a lot of Australian native plants around here, and it says we're in section 147, north southwest cool and warm temperate rainforest, and you can see they're just Dixonia antarcticas just all around here, and there's a really nice little walkway and some steps that kind of go up and out of here, but you can feel the temperature shift. At the moment up there it must have been 10 meters higher. It feels it's about 28 degrees, 30 degrees, but down here it feels a good few degrees cooler, just with all the shade that the trees are providing. A lot of these Dorianthus or spear lilies as well, and you've obviously got a lot of the small ones, I think, down here, just growing either side of this path, but then you have a lot of really developed massive ones that sit a little bit higher up on the banks as well. We have climbed a little bit further as well, and it does feel like the temperature's raised, and the humidity's also here as well. So it feels a bit subtropical compared to where we were just a minute ago. And you can see that the plants are changing as well. There's more palms. I think there's some Kentia palms that we just seen down there as well, starting to grow. There's still a lot of the ferns, a lot of the evergreen. So what's really interesting is it looks like they, in the 1960s, made the gully where the bottom of the rainforest was. So they dug all that out, and it looks like it has a really clever misting system, which allows them to create the climate that's required to be able to grow plants like that really well, that you'd often find in Tasmania. Whereas Canberra is quite a dry and hot area. And we're up a little bit higher now in an area that's a lot warmer and more subtropical, and as I said before, the types of plants have changed pretty significantly as well. What's really nice so far about walking through here, and I've got a lot more to explore, I might have to come back again tomorrow, but the way the garden is set out, particularly with this rainforest walk, is very different to Sydney and very different to Hobart. So it's definitely worth it. It gives you something you can experience more than perhaps the others. The others obviously have some amazing plants to go and view, but this is definitely a different experience. So it's really cool so far. There's some really big Livingstonia australis fan palms as well that are planted here. And what is interesting is just how close they are grown to this little stream that's running down here. There is a few critters and things scuttling around, which is a little bit weird. Oh, and speak of the devil. Good thing that it wasn't a snake. Seen quite a few of these. The fella's obviously trying to bask in the sun on this little walkway. You've got some big Cyathea Cooperi as well. But yeah, I was saying there's some pretty decent sized, I think it's Livingstonia australis grown here that are really close to the stream as well. There's one more here. Just these level changes are really interesting as well. It gives you a completely different perspective on the plants, the different humidity levels and temperature. Just noticed something in there. I bet there's a few snakes kicking around in here. So it says what they did initially in the 1960s, 1970s is to try and create a recipe for this rainforest was to grow some of these big and quick growing eucalyptus trees and wattles to try and give them some protection from the frost and some of these high winds before they started to introduce some of these broad walks and areas and the misting system that they've got. Otherwise, those type of plants wouldn't be possible to grow. And you can see how big these Eucalyptus grandises are, and they are amazing trees, tall, fast grown, and they can reach, it says, up to 75 metres, so the rainforests actually only cover about 6% of the world's surface, but they're home to more than 50% of all plants and animal species. So guess who read that on a plaque? But it is, as I've said a couple of times, it's great that you've got the pathway underneath to really feel like you're walking through the rainforest floor, but then it's brilliant to have something like this that just raises you up and allows you an opportunity to actually look in to see what it looks like from a different perspective, really. This is a little section here where we've got plants from the Pacific Island. There's a few different cordyline varieties that are grown at the top of the canopy. There's some of the thatch palms there as well. You can see here they've got a pretty big watering and misting type system that's set up to ensure that all of this dense canopy of rainforest loving plants get enough water that they need. So we've walked steeply out of kind of the gully at the bottom there, and as I mentioned, the types of plants that are being grown have changed significantly. And as you can potentially see here, we've got some of the grass trees growing, and you can see the eucalyptus towering above everything here, giving that canopy. Okay, we're maybe 10-15 meters from coming out of the rainforest, and clearly we're out in the open here, and the temperature's changed significantly despite it being 8:30 in the morning. And as a result of that, the plants that they're growing here is completely different. We've got a lot of cycads growing up here, a lot more of the drought tolerant plants. There's a few of the little lizards now coming out to try and get some of the sunshine on the rocks. There's a few more kind of eucalyptus, or smaller eucalyptus I believe, that are just dotted around some of these rock formations. This one over here looks really nice. Really silvery underside of the leaves. Some of the older ones obviously go a bit more of a darker kind of green colour, but it's a bit kind of sparse. But the colour of the leaves is amazing. I wonder if this is quite a nice one to potentially grow in the UK. So this is Eucalyptus lacemans, or the weeping snow gum, and it suggests that it survives alpine temperatures year round, and can be found in the very southern parts of Australia. Now we're out here, they have a eucalyptus lawn and a walk as well. They've got a lot of different species that they've planted in here, and gives you quite a nice idea of the different varieties, leaf textures, colours that you can grow, but mainly heights, I guess, for us in the UK, and to get some ideas about what you could potentially plant. And there is one just right behind me here, so I'll wander over and take a look at that. This thing towers about 40 plus meters. So this is the Eucalyptus macrocarpa, the one that we saw a little bit earlier in this rock garden that they've got here. However, it suggests that it's best grown on free draining soil, and as a result of that, probably not appropriate for the UK. But really nice silvery coloured leaves. It also supposedly has the biggest red flowers of eucalyptus. So around me here they've got the Eucalypt lawn, and it looks like there's over 20 different varieties of eucalyptus that they grow on here, which is really nice. Gives you a good flavour of the types of plants that you could potentially be growing. what's been really good about the gardens so far is just the variation in kind of ecosystem that we've got here. So you obviously had the rainforest at the start, then there was the kind of rock gardens, a little bit more arid, and now we're in this kind of red desert formation where you'd almost imagine that you're going to see some like termite mounds kicking around, where it just feels really, really dry. But they've captured kind of different senses and areas really well. Now it looks like this area of the gardens has only been open since 2013, so it's obviously not as mature as the other areas, and I think they've seeded it again relatively recently. Looks like there's some more Livingstonias over here, giving a bit of a backdrop. Some more of the grass type trees as well. It looks like these Livingstonia Maria, I think is how it's pronounced, with the backdrop of the rainforests thousands of years ago. So it's interesting to see how they've adapted and clearly grown in an area where there isn't that much water compared to the rainforest that we saw earlier. So the Red Garden Centre here is a really harsh environment and really arid, and I believe it's supposed to capture kind of the central area of Australia where things struggle to survive. There isn't much water there, but it does that really well. It's a nice little section, not an area that I'm particularly interested in growing a lot of plants from, but it's cool to be able to explore and see. So it looks like they've split the garden up into 5 different zones or areas. There's the Sydney region, which obviously has plants from that area that goes from kind of the coast into the mountainous zones, and it says there are over 600 different plants that are grown in that region. There's the Red Garden Centre, which I've kind of been through, which highlights Central Australia's really dry desert kind of area. It's got the Eucalypt lawn with those 70 different species growing there, the rock garden, and then the rainforest gully as well. And I have to say that the best part of it so far for me has been the rainforest gully. I think that's been great to walk through and have a bit of a wander. I definitely recommend coming just for that, to be honest, even just to spend half an hour or an hour going through there, because that is definitely something you don't experience in most. I think what they've done really well also is in these different regions, they've got a lot of different plant and habitats within them. So just around me here, there is a more of a woodland type of area, but we just look and turn around, and down here you get down into the gully, and there's a lot more of a wet rainforest type area within the kind of the Sydney region. And then there's a dry rainforest part as well, or a dry woodland area a bit further up. So they've been able to kind of get plants that are really adapted for those different areas and temperaments into different parts of each kind of region. I know that there are a lot of eucalyptus trees obviously grown in a lot of the gardens around here, but this is one that I thought I would try and show you, which is it's a smooth-barked apple tree. Can't pronounce that, but What is amazing is look at the bark, brown and grey where it's peeled. You can see all around the base of the trunk. Really architectural tree, and there's a lot of those around in a lot of these botanical gardens as well. I wish that I could grow something like that in my garden if I had the space. Again, I've said this I think a few different times, but what is amazing is just how there's so many different subsections in these gardens, and the different level changes, how that changes the temperature, the amount of light, and the things that they ultimately grow in it. It's I know people go on about microclimates in our garden in the UK and how you can create them, but obviously we have really small gardens, and if you had something like this, it would be absolutely amazing. I mean, there's just a little bird in the bath down here, but if you just look over my left shoulder, steps must go down about 10 metres, and there's a little stream that kind of runs through, and there's a lot of Cyathea, hard tree ferns that are grown in this area in particular. But then if we go this way, there's some more of the bigger trees, a lot of a drier woodland area, and different species that are grown here. Now this is another one of the smoothbark apple, or the Sydney red gum as they're otherwise known as. But what's really interesting now, I'm not too sure, is it says that each summer that it sheds all of the bark that's on it. So I'm unsure as to kind of spring, autumn, winter if it kind of regrows that back. But it does have some on the base and a little bit higher up the trunk. So I wonder if it actually does come back, and each year in the summer it does shed it. But what it does do is it reveals that kind of salmon, pink, orange, brown trunk. It's just got so many different colours packed within it. It would be amazing to grow something like that back in the UK. Okay, we're just going to take a little look now down into this more rainforest type area. There's a canopy of tree ferns that just sit above this area, and the stream just down here with some little pathways running through. And again, just like the rainforest area that we were in before, it feels like it's dropped about 10 degrees. So much cooler. We just came out of that little gully there, which is about 6 metres away from me. And again, just to highlight the difference in the plants and species that they're able to grow here is amazing. It just kind of highlights this. If you've got a medium-sized garden in the UK, you've got the potential to do the same thing. Just by using different structures, if you've got ponds and things running through there. What is nice here as well is they've got a bit of a main path area for anyone and everyone to be able to walk through and get a good feel for the different locations of the garden. But you can also split off into some of those subsections as well, as I've probably shown you in some of this video. And we've got back out of kind of the Sydney area and to this place, which is so like lush and green with all the tree ferns, alocasias, the bird's nest ferns, just so much green packed into one spot, and so many different levels as well. It looks like here is the National Seed Bank as well. Where they research, store, document, preserve, grow plants from all different areas of Australia. Okay, so that's me done at the National Australian Botanic Gardens in Canberra. And if you're in the area, I'd thoroughly recommend coming to have a look, especially for the rainforest area. That was the highlight, I think, of this garden in particular. So yeah, if you're around, come check it out. Thanks for watching. Hopefully it was relatively useful anyway, and I'll catch you on the next one.